Imagine walking into an interview. You slept well, you rehearsed every answer until the words came out perfectly clean. But somewhere in the first 10 seconds, before finishing your second sentence, the people across the table have already decided how much to believe you. Picture a woman named Dana. She knows the numbers cold, and she brings bulletproof logic to every meeting. Yet for years, her airtight plans got a polite smile, while the half-formed ideas of the guy 2 seats down kept getting the nod. Then someone recorded a meeting. When Dana heard herself for the first time, she realized her content was completely fine. Every sentence she spoke climbed up at the end, hanging in the air. Her voice got faster and thinner whenever she was sure she was right. The words were perfect, but the sound was apologizing for them. In the early 90s, 2 researchers tested exactly this. They took tiny audio clips of people speaking and asked strangers to rate them on warmth and competence. They then checked those snap ratings against real-world outcomes. This diagram compares the accuracy of those judgments. Listeners who heard a tiny audio clip lasting only 2 seconds predicted outcomes just as accurately as those who listened to a full 5 minutes of tape. Even when researchers stripped out the words entirely, leaving only the rhythm and tone, the snap judgments were still remarkably accurate. This underlying music of your voice operates as a carrier signal. It is a biological broadcast transmitting your emotional state and confidence level entirely independently of the vocabulary you choose. While you are busy agonizing over finding the exact right phrasing, the room has already bypassed your logic. The listener's brain finalized its judgment on you based almost entirely on the hidden music playing underneath your sentences. If that sound is doing the heavy lifting, the obvious move is to change it. You have probably heard the common communication advice. Drop your pitch, speak from your chest, and you will sound like someone in charge. There is a sliver of truth there. When researchers test this, voices pitched lower frequently do read as more dominant and authoritative to listeners. But a massive study in Scotland pulled that rule apart. For men, a lower pitch nudged trust up, but for women, a slightly higher pitch made the speaker sound more trustworthy. And when the context shifted to financial trust, asking people who they would trust with their money, higher-pitched voices scored better across the board. This illustrates the frequency code. Biologically, high-frequency sounds suggest a smaller physical body, while low-frequency sounds suggest a larger physical mass. Size then translates into a guess about safety. Depending on the moment, a large, deep presence might read as protective or as a threat. Depth alone creates a flat, detached monotone. Sounding genuine requires aliveness, the natural, unforced rising and falling melody of a voice that breathes with the words. Performing a fake, deep alpha voice actively strips away that natural aliveness. Instead of sounding like a confident ally, you end up sounding cold, overly polished, and a little menacing. There is a second instinct that misfires under pressure. We assume that slowing down our speech makes us sound thoughtful, so when the stakes are high, people deliberately drag out words. But the research points the opposite way. Listeners who heard the same person speaking at different speeds rated the faster delivery, around 510 syllables a minute, as far more competent than applauding delivery at 330 syllables. This visualization explains why, using a principle called the effort code. When a speaker has a bit of pace and bounce, it signals effortless recall. Conversely, pulling data slowly with heavy friction signals a struggle. Your brain reads that energetic delivery as a sign that the speaker actually knows their material. The information is right there at their fingertips, easily accessible without hesitation, which is exactly what true expertise sounds like. The ear makes its bet in the first couple of seconds and spends the rest of the conversation looking for reasons it was right. If a fast talker secures that initial trust, a stumble 3 minutes later reads as charming and human. Lose those first 2 seconds, and the exact same stumble reads as absolute proof that you don't know what you are doing. The slow, cautious voice you put on to protect yourself and sound wise quietly does the opposite. It acts as the exact trigger that hardwires the audience to doubt your competence from the very first breath. Knowing that your trustworthiness is decided in a 2-second window feels like a rigged, impossible game. It implies that if you have a nervous voice, you are simply out of luck. But that assumes your voice is permanently carved in stone. The truth is, the signals people are reading, the pace, the pitch, the energy, are highly flexible. This diagram shows the mechanics of what is actually happening. When you get anxious, your breath goes shallow and gets trapped high in your chest. That trapped air tightens the vocal cords in your throat, squeezing your voice into a thin, elevated pitch that broadcasts your fear to the entire room. The fix has to start at the source. Instead of faking a deeper tone, drop your breath lower, into your belly. That single action relaxes almost everything downstream. Your pitch settles into its natural, unforced range. Your pace steadies. You get that living movement back into your sound. Then, there is a second micro-habit you have to address: ending sentences with an upward pitch, like a question. Letting the end of the sentence settle down stops the sound of asking permission. You don't have to add force or volume. You just stop apologizing with your pitch, allowing the statement to land like you actually mean it. You do not need to master a perfectly polished, authoritative persona. By controlling your breathing, you clear away the anxious static. You let your actual, authentic voice, the one you use when you are calm and talking to someone you trust, carry your ideas safely across the table. Take a slow breath. Say less, maybe, but sound like you mean it.